morning, trailgrazers, and hip hip hooray. Today we are going to be taking a day trip. It'll be a short day trip to a local place that I absolutely love. And we're so sorry we did not get a video out last week. We are working on projects in the background that are just swallowing us whole. And one of those is that we are having our house re-stuccoed completely, which is a major undertaking. And last week, even though we had a little day trip planned, the stucco work interfered with that, and we had to stay home and monitor some things. But we're back, and today we're going to go up to what is known as the Kolob Terrace. It is kind of the backside of Zion. We'll be in and out of the Zion Park, and you'll be able to tell when we are actually in the park because the road is red. And when it's not red, then we're not in the park. And the scenery is absolutely spectacular. You will recognize, some of you will recognize the scenery up there from some Western movies that have been shot up there. We're going to go clear across the terrace and head to Kolob Reservoir. We are right in the middle of our monsoon season, and predictions for rain stand at about 70% today. The dirt road up there can be really tricky to navigate. So even though we're going to be in Jim's car, which is a four-wheel drive, at any given time, if the road is not passable, we'll have to turn around and come back. I want to show you what we're going to be having for lunch today. Those of you who are also members of our Rosebud Homestead community know that there are several thousand of us over there who are focusing on good weight management. And I am in the process of writing a book on nutrient-dense meals. And when I stick with those nutrient-dense meals, my weight goes down at a fairly slow but regular pace, which is exactly what I want. Well, today's lunch is leftovers from last night's meal, and here it is. So this is chicken broccoli noodle bowl, and it was just delicious. This little dressing is fantastic. This whole meal is 350 calories, and the great thing about these meals is that it can be served and eaten either warm or cold. Today we'll be eating this as a cold lunch. So we're not taking our little car oven. We are taking, Jim, have you decided if we're taking the little ice chest or the little refrigerator?
Take the ice chest.
All right, so we're going to take a little ice chest. We think it'll be a little bit easier. We will not have to take the Blue Eddy with us to run the little refrigerator. And so we'll have some water, some drinks, and our lunch. And then we will be back home. It'll probably round trip will be about 6 hours. And we're going to take you with us. So next stop, Jim's car. We are at the head of our road facing the Canaan Mountains, and we are just about to turn left onto the highway headed towards Zion National Park. So we have about a 30-minute drive to get to our turnoff, and I'll bring you back then. Meanwhile, here is Jim in his floppy hat.
At least it's a floppy hat.
And as you may be able to tell, it is very overcast today. So we may run into some rain. We're a little bit concerned. The dirt roads up there can get pretty sketchy. And so we will not hesitate to turn around if it gets too bad. So we will see you when we get to the turnoff. Well, we came down from our place off the Colorado Plateau. We're in the Basin and Range for a few miles, and now we are headed up the road to Zion back on top of the Colorado Plateau. So here we go, and just up a ways is the Slicken Side, which I always like to point out to you, which is a solid-faced rock that has scrape marks showing the uplift of the Colorado Plateau relative to the Basin and Range. So I'm hoping I don't miss it, because we can pass it and it's behind us sometimes before I can even catch my breath. So I think it's still ahead of us, isn't it, Jim?
It's still ahead of us, yeah.
So we'll give you another shot at it. Every time we come up this road, we like to show it to you because it is so unique and very exciting to those of us who love geology.
It's right up there.
Oh yeah, I see it, I think. And this part of the road is you can't stop and pull off. Yep, that's it, where that black truck is up there. Okay, just beyond the yellow sign. Okay, and we're coming up on it right here. There it is, and gone. So we'll follow this road for a little while. And then before we get to Zion, we're going to be turning left and going up even higher, and we will be seeing a lot of Zion from the back. All right, here we are. Jim has stopped the car. I'm going to walk over here to the edge. You can see the drop-off up ahead, and then across the road they have now barriers there. So because it's so narrow over there with traffic, I don't think maybe I'll give it a shot walking over. And so you can see that there's the drop-off down there. Yeah, they've put barriers here. That's new. And now walking back, and we'll look down the other side, and there's a beautiful little ranch down there. The ranch entrance is right there. Now we're on very safe ground here, but up a little bit farther it gets quite narrow. But you can see that beautiful little ranch down there in that valley. So where we are is on the top of a narrow stretch with deep valleys on either side, and then Zion ahead of us. So we will go ahead and drive forward and give you a shot of where it's a little bit more narrow. All right, here we go, forward. So here's the ranch down below. Sunset Canyon Ranch. Steep, narrow road, it says, no kidding. Beautiful down there.
I wonder what they do when it snows.
Okay, here we go to the very, very narrow part. And we're not stopping here, but you see it's now barricaded on both sides. And it never used to be. But the drop-off right here is only about 5 feet of clearance on either side of this road. So onward, when we get up to the area where it flattens out, there is a cabin up there that I have been so envious of for 30 years. Long time ago when I lived here and was teaching school, it went up for sale for $100,000. And in today's market, that of course is a steal. But back then, of course, it was absolutely impossible for me to even think about. But I've always wished that we could have somehow or other managed to buy that little piece of property. So you'll see it up here in just a minute. This is such a beautiful view. You can see the Navajo sandstone up there. The Shinnerup layer, which has lots of petrified wood, which hopefully we'll be able to give you a better view of when we go up on Hurricane Mesa to my secret place. Fire damage through here. This fire occurred, I am guessing, 20 years ago, maybe more. And it is recovering. This just used to be black and charred. So here's the reddish road. It used to be a whole lot more red. We just passed a sign that said entering Zion National Park. Yeah, the road has faded, Jim.
It has, definitely. It used to be ruby red.
Pretty much did. This road is the entrance to the subway, which is a favorite hiking experience for those who like extreme sports, of which I am not one. But it is not heavily trafficked up here at all. I cannot believe how much this road has faded. It used to be as red as the sandstone around us. So here are the beautiful meadows.
We can stop right up at the top.
Yes. We're going to stop up here. My camera froze and I was talking away, but the scenery wasn't changing. So we'll stop up here and look back at the meadows. All right, so this is looking back from the direction from which we have come. And you can see Zion with all the spires. The red top formation is West Temple, which is one of my favorite formations. And I'm going to try to get just a little bit higher here. And you can see the yellow, beautiful yellow meadows that we drove through as my camera was frozen and I didn't notice it. But the views up here are just spectacular. So we're going to head on around and see what we can see going forward. We are back in the park with the faded red road. I'm so pleased to see the recovery going on with this fire. It's been years since I have been up here. It was quite devastating to me when this fire occurred. But now the ground is lush and green. The cactus have come back. There are new little trees popping up. So here is the view looking at the backside of Zion. That is known as the Zion Wall. The little red cap on top of West Temple. I hope you can see it. It is just spectacularly beautiful. And now that there's a little pocket of private land right here and someone has built quite the home there. And look at the spectacular view that they have all the time. That house has been there at least 15 years or so. It was quite a surprise to me when it first went up. I thought we were in the park. Okay, let's go on. We are stopped at a little pullout here because this spot is so familiar to me. 23 years ago, and continuing forward for about 10 years, I wrote grants and got funded to bring teachers from Nevada. We called our program NERDS, Nevada Educators Really Doing Science. So I brought NERDS teachers, secondary and elementary teachers, with a staff of other faculty members from the science departments. And this was one of our major study areas. And we would come and park for the day and had lots of activities for them to do, having to do with science inquiry and naming all of the plants that were here and studying the ecosystem. And they did lots of research on both sides of this little highway. Now, going forward here, in just a couple of minutes, we're going to, oh, here comes a truck, so I'm going to slow down here. There is, where that, oh, he's showing off for us. There is a hairpin turn, and that will take us on up to the very top, and we will see some more beautiful scenery up there. Follow that truck. He was so noisy. Did you hear him inside the car?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Gunning his motor and kind of showing off, I think.
Right.
All right, coming up on the hairpin turn.
Coming
There.
up on the hairpin turn.
There's the sign for it.
Coming up on the hairpin turn.
And have we ever pulled our trailer up here? We never pulled. Oh, yes, we did.
Yeah,
When we
did.
camped up at the reservoir, we pulled our trailer on this. So here it is. Quite a hairpin turn. Woo! And you can see magnificent views of the valley below, back over where we live. Snatches of vistas between the trees. There are the meadows down there. We are now up into the quaking aspen, which means we're very high. I'm guessing around 7,000 feet. It's beautiful up here. Jim and I have looked for property, I don't know, 3 or 4 times, Jim?
Yeah, up through here.
Up through here, thinking that we would like to have a nice little summer getaway where it's so much cooler than where we live, but we just never did quite bite the bullet and do it. So here is Kolob Reservoir. So this is a storage facility for the Water Conservancy. It's a nice little reservoir. We have camped up here for several days once in our trailer, brought our 4-wheelers, had a great time. The water is higher than it's been in a while, so that's good. It's a beautiful little reservoir. And what Jim and I just realized as we pulled off the main road and pulled into the reservoir road is that we're about to run out of pavement. So looks like we have a few blue skies, which is good, and not a huge threat of rain, so we may try to go across now Cedar Mountain. Cedar Mountain is that direction, and if we are successful, we'll come out near Cedar City and then make a decision which direction we want to go. It's a beautiful day. It's cool and lovely up here, which is really nice. It was over 100 degrees at home yesterday. So tomorrow they're going to be starting the color coat on our stucco job, so we're going to be tied to home for a few more days before we can take another outing. But this is the beautiful time of year to go on outings. The wildflowers up here are just beautiful. We'll walk over and take a closer look. So here is a stand of dozens of different varieties of, there's a little skyrocket gilia over there, some sunflower relatives. It's beautiful. It's nearing lunchtime, so Jim and I are going to try to find a place for lunch. There's Jim by the car. We passed the one and only picnic table coming up, so we'll just have to find a rock to sit on to have our lunch. So that is our next step, is to try to locate a place to have some lunch. We are now on the road that takes us across Cedar Mountain towards Cedar City. We have been driving beside this rustic wooden fence. Isn't it just beautiful? Jim is commenting on how much wood that is, how many logs it has taken to build this fence. It goes on for several miles. We've got storms building up ahead. We're trying to decide whether or not we want to proceed. We passed a sign that said the road is impassable in winter and in rainstorms. So we don't want to get caught. We'll make a decision here pretty quick, but I wanted you to see how beautiful this scenery is right here. Very much up in the aspens, big aspens.
Yes, tall aspens.
And what we know about aspens is they all share the same root system, so essentially they are the same single organism. Isn't that spectacular? There are California condors up here, and we believe that we have spotted one, so we're pretty excited. What do you think? I was so excited I forgot to turn the sound on, so I am doing a voice over. So we are stopped at a little pullout. There's a table over there. And this is another place where we would bring teachers. This was a lunch stop for us, year after year. And you can see that there's great big ponderosa pines. And as I've shared in another video when we were up at Bryce, when ponderosa pines have their trunks that turn a little bit orange, there's one with a lightning strike over there. a little bit orange, we know that they are over 100 years old. So this one isn't quite 100 years old, but that one is. And I have cored ponderosas before and counted the rings to determine if that were really true, and it appears to be so. So we will be sitting right here at this little table surrounded by these big old ponderosa pines. We'll have our lunch. Jim is bringing it over in just a minute, and then we're going to head for home. Well, here we are, change of plans. It is raining a little bit, and I just checked the weather maps. We're about to get dumped on. So we're just gonna sit here and have our lunch right here in the car, and it should be just fine. So here we go. Here is our lunch. This chicken breast with broccoli and noodles is kind of a salad. A little bit of dressing there. And there's Jim's. He's about to take his dressing and put it over his noodles. So we're just going to finish off our lunch, and then we're going to head down the hill home. So here is a little bit better shot of the meadows that I missed because my camera had frozen up on the other when we were headed up the hill. We're headed back down the hill now. I say hill, it's more of a mountain. But these meadows that run right up to the red sandstone to me are just spectacularly beautiful. We are not in the park right now, but as you can see the road ahead, we're coming to the faded pink again, and as soon as we cross that line, we are back in the park. All right, here we are coming up on my wish property again. You can see the entire cabin and the installation that they have there now. They've built it up some. It used to be a small cabin with a dormitory room. But it's quite lovely. A lovely spot. Retreat and vacation villa. And now we're headed down back to the narrow neck of land and onward toward home. Here we are home again after a very successful day trip up on the Kolob Terrace. That to me is one of the most beautiful places, and I absolutely love it. And I have such fond memories of being up there many, many times over the past 30 years on field trips with university students, and just exploring and walking, hiking, and doing a whole lot of things up there. I have a couple of other places up there. That one is my secret place, and another one is another place that I have taken groups of students to before, that I hope that we can do a day trip here really soon. We're working very hard on getting repairs done to our house, but the weather is turning a little bit cooler, which is much appreciated. And so we will attempt to take some more day trips. Food today was just great. We had to eat in the car, which was a little cramped, but it worked out just fine. And it works very well to have those leftover meals from the high density meal book that I'm working on right now. So that worked out perfectly. So thanks so much for being with us, and we will see you out there on the trail.